Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Power of Knowing Forums. Join the CSUT Talks LinkedIn Live event today, episode 216. And we are discussing on the topic of innovative leadership in digital forensics, real world lessons from incident response experts. To have this topic discussed, we have the honor of having Lieutenant Colonel Santosh, CTO, DFIR, CSAM professional, DFIR specialist, an army veteran, which is a privilege for us to have an army person joining us today, and Ex-CERT India, also a TEDx speaker. Safeguarding digital spaces is what he's doing around. Without further ado, let's welcome Santosh, Lieutenant Colonel Santosh, to the podcast event. Hi, sir. Hi, Colonel. I would say, Colonel, it's a
Thank
pleasure to have you, Colonel, in our show. And it's been great to have an army person. Salutes to what you've been doing in the army. I understand you have about 24 years of experience in the army, which is a huge thing. And thank you for accepting and joining us, sir.
Thanks for inviting.
A small intro about your journey because you are from the army and there's a lot to look at. And army and cyber security, again, it is safeguarding and safeguarding people and the country at one side, safeguarding uh, digital spaces on the other side is really a great thing that we have today. A small intro about yourself, your journey so far, Colonel.
Thank you, Mr. Prem, for inviting me here. It's a really honor. I've been observing your episodes regularly, and I really wanted to be a part of it because the worth of knowledge which is shared is tremendous, and it's learning for us also after 30 years in a profession. So thank you very much. My journey, as you mentioned, I'm an army veteran. I have 24 years in the army, and within the army, I was in the Corps of Signals, technical arm, which we call
Mhm.
communications, technology, IT, cyber security, forensic cyber. That was our forte for
Okay.
more than 2 decades. After that, I was also very lucky enough to be a part of CERT India Ministry of Electronics and IT on deputation for around two plus years.
Okay.
Within the army, I headed the forensics lab for around 4.5 years. And after that, I ventured into the corporate because I felt, corporate, uh, or I require the corporate more than the corporate needs me because I wanted to dwell into the Make in India products in this forensics domain. And this is my
Yeah.
second corporate, and now presently I'm a CTO at SysTools, looking after the forensics developments, products, capacity building, consulting, and 360 degree in DFIR space, that digital forensics and incident response.
Wonderful, sir. It's been, again, I will say it's a honor to have you here, sir. Without further ado, let's get into the topic that we are talking about on innovative leadership in digital forensics. Now, forensics is a vast subject currently, right? And it deals with many things. What is innovation leadership in digital forensic look like in today's world, especially when faced with cyber threats?
Uh, Let me tell you, forensics is the newest baby on the block in forensic science. Forensic science is quite old when you go
Okay.
to ballistics, chemicals, and other things. But digital forensics or cyber forensics has just evolved after this internet, blossomed or boomed.
Hmm.
So it's only 30 plus years old, but it is one of the most niche fields within the forensic science domain,
Okay.
and it's the most developing and fastly growing field because of the new technologies. Crimes evolve, and with crimes so comes for digital forensics or investigations. So when you speak of innovative leaderships in this particular niche field today, it is actually staying ahead of the sophisticated cyber threats, or you can say cyber crimes happening, by combining cutting edge technology, adaptive strategies, collaboration. If you see, if I want to tell you how it can be practiced, like if you now every there's a buzz of AI and automation in investigations. For forensics, AI is a problem also and is a solution also, because AI, there are a lot of crimes which happens due to AI, and we are use AI to actually solve this particular kinds of problem. So we have to leverage as leaders the AI driven analytics and machine learning, so which amounts, dealing with lot of data for, and detecting anomalies, and it is also used for accelerating the forensic investigation, because
Hmm.
it takes a lot of time for investigating. One more point is regarding proactive threat hunting. Nowadays you cannot wait for breaches to happen. You have to
Yeah.
be proactive. So I always tell people forensics has moved from reactive to proactive, and now it is moving from proactive to predictive kind of forensics. So that is very important in this field. Now let me touch upon few technologies which, now cloud and blockchain forensics. Cloud is being so extensively used, especially after this COVID, and before that also it was used. But nowadays everything is moving to the cloud, and technology like a blockchain, which is the core technologies for, for many kinds of other technologies or end user end solutions coming into play. For example, in forensics, blockchain is used for chain of custody. When you're actually taking that evidence and taking it to different places. So that technology is getting evolved. So nowadays that is being used. And even forensics has moved to the clouds also. Forensics as a service is also being there. Now, as a leader, we have to adapt to these kind of technologies. Other aspects are zero trust and cyber resilience, cross sector collaboration, because digital forensic is no cannot work in silos as such. So leaders have to engage, work with law enforcement, private enterprises, cyber security experts, academia, and many other, the whole ecosystem as such. Then the adaptation and ethical practices in this particular field, cyber laws are there. There are new laws coming, GDPA, DPDP is coming into play. Other aspects regarding training and upskilling, of course we'll speak on that. So these are various aspects, where the leaderships come into play, and you have to actually, you have to lead from the front. Okay, because when I was in the army, we used to lead from the front. But when I into corporate, I heard from few of them, you have to lead from behind. You have to support your subordinates. You have to let them do what they feel like. But in forensics, again, I feel the thing is you have to lead from the front, if anything and go. So again, I'm just, whatever I've learned in my that career, I'm just trying to use that particular skills and my knowledge into this particular new field.
Very well said that, sir. Coming to the next point, uh, how does, in your experience, incident response uh, teams maintain a human-centric approach while managing high-stake cybersecurity situations, sir?
Uh, Thank you for this question. Why I want to say that, because digital forensics and incident response is DFIR. It's always taken in same breath. The word
Hmm.
incident response and forensics, because forensics has this identity of its own, but it is also part of an incident response. So that is
Hmm.
very important. People should understand, whenever cyber incident happen, it's not only the other teams which pitch in. Forensics also plays a very important role. Now,
Hmm.
if you see, maintaining a human-centered approach is in this cybersecurity incidents is very crucial for balancing, the efficiency, the empathy, and ethical responsibility in this particular case. Now, cyber response teams have to handle technical challenges while considering the human impact. Because once you go on a crime scene, you're interacting with the people.
Hmm.
Now, in that case, what has to be there? You have to be very clear, transparent, and communicate. You should be able to communicate. Now, most of the people who are technical, they are not able to communicate properly when they go on a crime scene. So during a cyber incident, uncertainty and panic is always there, because everyone is worried about what has happened, and they require update. Every senior management also wants it. So instead of saying, for example, instead of saying "Ki your data has been exfiltrated due to a zero-day attack," you can just say some unauthorized access has happened. So you're creating less panic, and actually also making them understand in their own language. Other thing is, what is required in incident response is prioritizing people over system, because when cyber incidents actually impact people, yes, they do impact the systems, but the employees who are there, they're struggling, to handle that particular incident. The management is trying to handle in the other way. When it's a very big breach happened, you're actually handling the media, you're handling other people within your own ecosystem, especially when, for example, if it's a ransomware attack and company data has been encrypted, right? So in that case, prioritizing people is very important, and this is very important in this case. one more thing which I feel in incident response is ethical decision making. That why it matters is because at the heat of the this people are under a lot of pressure, and they cut corners. So for that ethical disclosure policies, so you are actually guiding that particular entity when a cyber incident happens, and how they should actually behave or react, both technically, legally, or in the other way, even interacting, as I said, when with the media. So that's very important. And other thing which is important is the post incident support and continuous learning, because incident response is not only about handling the incident, but it's also about the post incident support and learning. When I said you're doing the briefing, post incident briefing, or you're going to conduct some training, or you're going to give feedbacks to your internal teams. So this is very important. So there's for this, what I would like to say, while technology is the heart of of the incident response, people are the most important asset. And a human centered approach builds a truth, resilience, you can say trust, and a long term, you can say, maturity within that organization. That's what I feel.
I think pointers are very, very important, saying that humans play a very centric thing. And I've told in other, I've got this information, or we've discussed this point where whatever we are building is what we are building is for humans only. It is not for machines, right?
Yeah,
So at the point, what we are trying to look at is we are safeguarding certain challenges that are happening. And those challenges are to be looked at from a human centric pointer. How it can enable is what I understood from what you said, right, sir? Right,
true,
Gunnar?
very true.
What is one challenge that cyber security incident you had to respond to, and how did it the whole gamut or the structure after that incident change the approach into leadership and how you take things?
In fact, if you permit, I would like to give two incidents, one in the digital forensic domain and one in the incident response domain, so that people understand the difference also, and people understand how the pressure works and how the pressure should be handled.
Okay.
Firstly, let me tell you about digital forensic incidents. All of your learners or means your viewers must attendees must have heard of an incident which happened on 14 Feb 219, when there was a very means you can say Draconian attack which took place on a CRPF convoy in
Yeah.
J&K. It's called the Pulwama attack.
Right.
So my team, I'm very proudly, I would like to say my team was involved in the forensic investigation of that
Oh,
particular
wonderful.
incident, and we
Okay.
were able to do it and justify our cause, or justify our work in that case. So when
Hmm.
that incident happened, there was so much of pressure, both from all sides, pressure
Hmm.
to perform in the sense it was an incident of a very grave nature. It impacted the national security. There
Yeah.
were a lot of institutions involved in that. A lot of agencies were involved, and at the fag end, we were there. I mean, at the end, we were supposed to do the analysis. So when it came to us, it was at every second we are being monitored. We need results. We have to
Hmm.
perform. Give us something. Let us know. But
Hmm.
let me tell you, it still took us more than a you can say a month, approximately a month, to investigate that incident,
Okay.
and we were able to investigate that incident without coming under pressure of anyone, and we were able to deliver that results. So the outcome you see there, people really appreciated what work the team did, and it is now for everyone to see that everyone knows how that particular incident happened. It was a forensic analysis which actually helped in solving that incident, and there are numerous books written on that, if you
Okay.
see on this particular incident. So this was one incident in the forensics domain, where the team pressure handling and where leadership qualities actually came into play. Now coming on to incident response in scenario, there was a ransomware incident which took place in a very big, you can say, government entity. And
Hmm.
again, in this case, there were three different teams which had to investigate that incident. And now, as a lead, getting these teams together who have different thoughts, different way approaches, and taking time to the location, identifying the incident, means solving that incident, giving that particular entity, you can say the good you can say good pointers, and resilience part, getting that entity back to work. So this was a ransomware incident which had taken place, and it was a massive incident on a very big government entity. So we
Mm-hmm.
were able to actually, you can say, handle that particular incident. So in this case, incident, as I mentioned, the digital forensics is different, incident response is different, because in incident response you're handling live incident. It is going on. So at that moment you're actually handling the incident. If a DDoS attack or a ransomware attack, it's taking place in front of your eyes. So how you will take out that evidence, how you will preserve it, how you will stop it from lateral movement, from infecting other machines. So this was very important. Now in this both kinds of scenario, leadership challenges, how is are there. Now decision making is very important again, under pressure in this case. As I said, whether the ransomware attack or whether the case which I mentioned of that stature, communication and transparency, as I meant, the communication, backward and forward communication is very much important, because the people who are assisting you in carrying out the incident at that entity level, and the backward communication where someone who has sent you or you are responsible for communicating back. So because as I mentioned in my previous answer, that the panic is always there. Now,
Mm.
cyber resilience, I mentioned that in incident response, other than investigating, you want to get the resilience part. You have to get this particular back to business. So that is very important. And the team collaboration, which I mentioned in both the cases, where you have different teams working. And when you go in an entity, again, there's a different challenge where you have a IT team, you have a different legal team, you have a different security team, you have a management team. Again, you are working against again across the spectrum as such. So that is for what I would like to say, that cyber incidents will happen. It's how the leaders respond, adapt, communicate, and they're able to lead the team and tell them how to go about it. Because that is a place, that is a time where your skills and leadership qualities come into play.
Definitely, sir. The two examples are two different ways to look at how you can look at an incident and how do you balance that kind of a leadership approach to shape new avenues for improvement. So that's what I get it. Now, how do you balance the cutting edge technology adoption in digital forensics with the need for operational simplicity on a day-to-day basis? Because forensic, I think, is you will have to do something or the other on a daily basis. It cannot be run saying that I'll bring up some software and stuff and it'll take so many days. It has a continuous evolving of how you do digital forensics. Your thoughts on it, sir?
See, cutting edge technologies are required while you are doing forensic investigation. You cannot do it. Forensics is a very expensive and a niche field. So you
Hmm.
cannot do it. You have to embrace it and you have to know it firstly, whether it's any kinds of technology. Now, day-to-day operations, for that also we require forensics is a very different kind of field within the cyber security or cyber umbrella as such. When you're
Hmm.
doing something VAPT, we are doing some other red teaming, or you're doing some other thing. See, you can do with makeshift things, and you can do with you can have your own solutions into place, or own way approaches into place. But in forensics, when you say forensics, it's a scientific approach. Scientific approach, it is scientifically derived, and you are recreating the digital crime scene. So for that, whatever best you can have, whatever the most cutting edge technology you can have, I will like to have it at my disposal. Second thing about forensics is that what happens is, you have same evidence has to be removed. Means what forensics says is the same evidence should be able to be removed from some other tool also. It's not
Hmm.
you rely on one particular thing. So again, these are few fundamentals of forensics which makes you think that you have to use the best what is available. That's why I said it's one of the very costly field. Or if you have to create a lab, everyone doesn't have a forensic lab or forensic capability, right? It's the
Yes.
government who has, because they have that particular wherewithal, money, resources to put in. And small corporates, they have incident response teams. They don't have forensic. They say incident response team, so they can handle to day-to-day incidents within the organization with a very limited capability. And when they require forensic, they again outsource, or they go to some other big entity which can support them in that. So this is how forensic cutting edge technologies is the need of hour for forensics. I mentioned about AI as a problem and a solution. I mentioned about different kinds of other technologies coming into play when it comes to you can say, like if there's a deep fake kind of a scenario happening, or a digital arrest kind of a scenario happening, or if you want to take remote acquisitions and different things. So because with new technologies and updates in it's more tough time for a forensic analyst or for people like us to go on a crime scene or within the lab sit and try to analyze things. So I would only take the first part of the question and say, I would and I should and I recommend that you should go with the cutting edge technologies.
True, sir. Taking that as a cue, what could be an encouragement to the team to think creatively? And most of the things are streamlined things, but can they also look at out of box thinking when responding to digital forensic challenges?
See, anywhere in any sector, the new generation, you have to, they have lot of thoughts, lot of ideas, lot of creative ideas, right?
Hmm.
So, encouraging creative problem solving in even in digital forensics is very essential, because if you have to evolve as a leader, fostering this particular innovative mindset, it has to be on the forefront. If you don't have that, I think you are missing the most important, you can say, character of a leader. So you have to be the inspiration for out of box thinking. Let me tell you one thing. Whenever I used to be in the lab, now in the corporate side, whenever I used to be in the forensic lab in a government big lab where we have very high profile cases. First ritual in the morning was to get the team and discuss every team who's doing a particular case, ki how you're going to approach it. They first, I used to listen to them how they are going to tell me how they're going to approach it, and then I used to tell, I think this also you can try it out. So if I have a case of, say, and he is not able to recover a data from a hard drive, so he used to say, someone gives a recommendation, sir, why not try this, why not try that? And
Hmm.
many of times, many no, more than 90% of the time, I found that their solutions were better than mine coming into play.
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
as a leader, you encourage, and of course the credit. And one more thing about the leadership is, which actually Abdul Kalam sir said, is key: failures are mine and successes are yours, right? So in forensics, if you see, there are more than there's no such figure, but I tell usually 70% failure and 30% successes. If 10
Oh,
devices come to me, I'm able to successfully give you results on 3 devices, but 7 devices I fail. So there are more failures. So where this creative thinking comes into play more in this kind of scenario, and especially in this field. And you will find out. I'll give a simple example. My team were not able to solve a case, and we were ready to give a clean sheet. It was a
hmm.
laptop, and we were supposed to find out that there's some material in it. But while doing it, we found out there was nothing in it. It was clean, totally clean. And I was also very convinced that it's clean. So now why not close that case? But in during one of this morning meetings, one of my very lower means lower end staff, who is a employee, who is a, you can say, lab assistant, he
Hmm.
told me, sir, you have that same particular laptop. I said, yes. Then he said me, sir, what do you do if something goes faulty? I said, I go to my dealership and I tell him. Then he said कि sir dealership आपको कैसे देता है? Then he said, how will he replace your things? He said कि he'll see my serial number and he'll see my hard disk. So that gave us a hint कि why not check the serial numbers of the hard disk which was there in that particular laptop. And then we realized that laptop which was issued by the which was bought that time, it had a different hard disk, and now which was given for investigation, this had a
Oh,
different hard disk.
okay.
So in that case, then we told, no, you have changed the hard disk, and then he had to give the original hard disk. So you can see at what level, because in forensics every case is different, every approach is different. You have to sometimes use a logical approach than a technical approach. So that's why I think a cross thinking, taking ideas is the way to go. An investigating team has to be, open ended, I feel. And that is the only way out to, in such kind of scenario.
Very true, sir. Very true on that. Now, we'll have to also look at what is that we've got when we get into that kind of a scenario, is what you're saying. Are the assets that we have provided kept intact, or there is something that has happened to those assets, and what we have got is not the right asset that we were supposed to investigate? That's what you are trying to give us an important pointer here, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, coming to the next point, how can you share? See, forensic is not about, say, having something which is, I will say, it has every forensic act has a story behind it, right? Something has to happen, then there is something which you will investigate, because of which you will find something else. Can you share one story where a personal learning moment during first digital forensic investigation significantly changed how you look at the team, how you look at leadership, how do you look at an incident?
So what I will do is the incident which I mentioned, for instance, I'll go in depth in that and explain that because it will help you in correlating things. I was in service, and on 14 Feb 2019, this drastic incident happened when I myself was in service and in the same city or same nearby location where the incident happened.
Mhm.
And after say 3 months, there was a very good NIA officer. He approached me, and after that I came to CERT India as a head of forensic laboratory here. So I was approached by that officer, ki, sir, can you please help us in getting this or solving this case or having this particular forensic investigation. And he said that no one else was able to do that, so we want to give it a last try. So
Hmm.
since I was there when this incident happened, it was personal to me. So I requested my senior management or senior leadership, we should give it a try. So once we took that particular incident, it was in total damage condition, and it was in damage condition. And how it was captured during an encounter which took place, and after that particular terrorist was eliminated, that particular device was seized. Once it came, it was in damaged condition. We had to actually rebuild the whole device. Rebuild in the sense ki the screen was cracked, so we have to replace the screen. The power supply was damaged, we had to replace the power supply, and then going in depth into that particular thing. Now, since I had personally taken interest because it was very personal to me this case, and my team also was very much involved in this kind of thing. We were able to. It took, as I told you, it took us a month, but we were able to extract data even when there was a locked, encrypted data, locked devices, damaged devices, and it was a very learning moment for me because I myself was not sure that I would be able to do it as a leader when it came. I had only taken that case up on the personal because it had a personal attachment with me. But I said to give it a try. But I was not sure again I would be able to succeed in that. So this during this process I learned a lot of things. Even if you have a 0.001% of you think that it can happen and you will be able to do it, you will be able to do it. And
Hmm.
that is how teamwork or team made it happen to me. And this incident is very means prominent. You can just google it out and you'll find a lot of newspaper articles, books written on it, because cybersecurity has and forensics became a leadership priority.
Hmm.
Cybersecurity is a leadership priority, but forensics for us people like us is also a leadership priority. So that's why it is a leadership team started, leadership taking forensics or cybersecurity. Now you also know one thing. Initially, there were very few CISOs in company. Now every company has a CISO. They,
Right.
to the extent now they have gone. I know companies, or in my previous company also, the day AI came into play, we had CAIOs, Chief AI Officers.
Yeah.
So this is how the leadership is increasing, or leadership is going out and trying to understand and give importance to different, you can say, different verticals. Now, digital, I also mentioned one thing. Digital forensics has become proactive and predictive rather than reactive. Investigations breaches, like if you see people have SOCs. Now SOC is also one kind of input which is for digital forensic investigation, so that is like a proactive kind of forensic investigation.
Hmm.
Crisis response communications, I'm repeating it for the third time, but let me tell you that leaders are recognized after you show the transparency, you show your response speed, and you show your you create, I'll not call it creativity, but I'll say your approach towards how you're actually solving that particular problem. So that is very important. Final thought, what I would like to say in this is that leaders, today's best forensic leaders don't only react to incidents, they anticipate also, and they communicate also. So and that is beyond the technical expertise which a person withholds.
Great, sir. I think what we are looking and going through is we see a lot of things that are part of our journey itself, right?
Yeah,
And
true.
you said uh, you learn differently when it is a personal in this one, and you learn when you get these kind of examples to see what did we do there and what is that we are getting here. You can correlate and bring things like that. That's what you're telling us now. Again, when we speak about leadership again, so every leader who's successful is not always or I will say he's not a person who's not failed at all, right? So he would have failed in many places, right? And he would have checked, based on that he would have learned something and he's got into. What are some of the biggest leadership pitfalls you've seen in the industry and that have hindered successful incident response efforts? Because
Yeah.
once a pointer is told and you are wrong, and that becomes a reference point always. There you went wrong. Will it
See,
happen again? Right. So that's
le-
that's where we wanted to understand from your side.
See, leadership is always critical role. Every one of us accepts it, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's forensics, whether it's cybersecurity, and whether it's managing cyber incident. But what I have seen in the biggest pitfalls of leadership is the delayed decision making.
Hmm.
Leaders hesitate to act when they're because they are worried about the reputation. Any company facing a cyber incident, before reporting or before even calling its team, it is more worried about the consequences, legal consequences, reputational consequences, and so they delayed. And the impact of the delayed responses, it worsens the security breaches. If one system is compromised, maybe other 100 gets compromised, allowing attackers to do the lateral movement which I mentioned. And let me tell you, the prioritizing containment and mitigation strategies are also missing. Most of the organization don't have incident management plan or incident management strategies in place. Who will respond? It is seen
Hmm.
that IT teams only respond. Let me tell you, IT teams are totally different, should be totally different, and incident response should be totally different. You have to have a maker checker role in place. IT teams will never be able to, find out. Second is the lack of clear communications. The executives fail to communicate with the employees or with the customers. I have seen that whenever an incident happens, they don't tell the employees if there's a breach because they feel that it may lead to confusion and misinformation or a panic as such. So it is very important to be very clear in this particular aspect. One thing which I've again mentioned, and you also mentioned, that incident response doesn't work in silos. The
Hmm.
pitfall is that every executive leadership thinks it's a silos thing. Most of them, maybe people are now, thinking in the right way. Security, IT, legal, PR, they operate independently. But everything coordination is important
Yeah.
because the impact is that the slow and fragmented responses from any team which is required, if the legal team has to pitch in or the IT team has to pitch in. For example, if when I go for a incident response, what I require before I reach is I require the network diagram, I require the IT team's first view, what they felt, how did they come to know about that incident, who is the employee was impacted. So this is very important. Now, focusing on the blame instead of solutions, it's always seen, I'm not saying all do it, but I'm just trying to say it happens in most of the cases that people are, they spend more time in finding a scapegoat, who should be blamed at the end of this incident, rather than first find a solution and then you can do the investigation. So again, this is a very toxic culture. And now again, I'm saying not everyone does it in one of cases, but such cases do happen. And in that case, I feel that is a failure of leadership as such. What is Now, why has this situation arise? This question should hit us. Ignoring cybersecurity until something hits you, that is a failure of leadership. You should not you should have cybersecurity priority. If you are already doing your things rightly, there are less chances, I'm not saying no chances, but there are less chances of you getting into this kind of a scenario. So weak security posture leads to big financial losses, it's said by everyone.
Hmm.
So cybersecurity has to be a boardroom priority. Nowadays, it is being done. Let me tell you very clearly, CISOs are being called for each and every boardroom discussions, even if the project has to be implemented, how cybersecurity is taken into place. So we have to also have we have to adapt to the emerging threats. Now I always take a lot of talks, so I always say you have to embrace, you can say, cyber. Because say suppose you're not in your you have your now we are speaking on LinkedIn. If I'm not in LinkedIn, someone may use it as a credential. I mean, someone will use or imposter as me as Santosh Khadsare, and we'll be talking with to you today. So
Hmm.
So you have to embrace technology, you have to be with it, and you have to do the best you can say, as a digital forensic or cybersecurity leader. Prioritize preparedness, communication, adaptability should be some key factors. And of course, we have discussed a lot of things about leadership, giving resources, being there at the time where it is there. So it is very much required. And these are the pitfalls which I see, and or which I myself were part of also. Let me tell you that even I realized it after some incident happened, not now, but in my earlier years. And then I try to incorporate these things in my particular leadership lessons.
Very important pointers that we take leadership. And now I'll take a different route here, Colonel sir, because what I felt is, with the new cyber pieces, now the information should not be left on its own, right? Now, whatever information that you are gathering, I'm talking more about privacy operations side, where I try to look at how the information is left around, and that can lead to some issues of employee data. Or now we see a lot of places where we get to know that our number, without we knowing itself, is being shared, right? And that happens, and many times we face into a situation where we don't know who's got this number, where they've got this number and stuff, right? So coming to that, the organizations are also looking at how do we, you rightly said some time back, is that uh, you said that everybody's data is important. Now how do we manage that, how do we process the data? And when, as an organization, we also have a lot of data in terms of our employee data, which can be very critical data, which is your pan card data or your passport details and other stuff, which is more of a PII information, right?
Yeah.
That information is becoming crucial, and with DPDP coming in, there's a lot of other things that are going to be hitting the organizations to maintain data. Now, the other point that you rightly said was, how do we look at data as a crucial element itself? And you made a very important point where you said cybersecurity or security is not one person's activity, it is everybody's activity in the organization. Everybody should look at and they should learn about. So these are few things that I picked up from your pointers, that I was able to get some of the pointers. Can digital forensic leaders foster a culture of collaboration and add empathy between technical expertise and non-technical guys? Because when you say forensics, it will touch everybody, right? Whether you are technical, non-technical, you're a leader or a user, you will have to look at the other piece. How do we deal it with them at empathy? What's your take on this, Colonel, on this?
Uh, if you see this particular thing, collaboration, empathy is very critical between technical experts and non-technical experts. Again, I'd like to give an example how I learned this. You make forensic reports, and that reports goes to the courts, right? So in that scenario, I was in one of the courts and I was explaining my report. So it was in initial years, and it was too technical. It has technical jargons in it, so it was very difficult for me to explain to them, and I had to explain each and every word, each and every definition. So that's what, when I learned that it's better, you have to be non-technical to even in the reports as such. So while preparing that report, henceforth what I started doing, I started giving FAQs and making it more common language or user friendly language. I started using in those reports. So from that time I learned that it's not used if someone is a non-technical, even if it's an end user or a judge or a business leader, as a technical person, you should be able to explain in his language. So that was one learning for me. Now when I said that is very critical for our effective growth as such of a company, you can see that the technical teams often speak jargon, right? So it actually
Mhm.
translates, this translation of complexity into business impact is very important. Because if you're not able to convey the proper thing, if your team is not able to grow, if your business is not able to grow, then it is a very, I mean, it's of no use, or it's of less use. Then next point, which in this particular, this is building cross functional security committees, right? It's not silos, right? We form a cyber security task force, and you have representatives of every team in that particular thing, whether it's legal, we mentioned about all the different things. Then interacting with them as a leader, you have to interact with them. Now in what I practice or what we practice at every quarterly review meeting we have, we also interact with the employees with every sector. Like if I'm heading the DFIR segment, I also go and meet the legal team segment. I also go and meet the ITC segment with their IT heads or with that. So in that one, what happens is we are able to mix with each other. The non-technical people also understand. Like tomorrow again, I'll tell you, we have a new set of interns who are coming into office, and they are going to be marketing. Who I'm going to speak with them. So now I have to go and speak with them, interact with the marketing team, and tell them how they can help me, on how I can help them, or how we both can grow and make benefits within the company. Like one very good activity which we conduct is the tabletop exercises. Like we all business leaders come sit together, teams come sit together, and we create scenarios okay, if a ransomware attack happens, which team will do what, who will be the first to respond, who will report to whom, who will speak to whom, who, what is your mandate, where is your red line. So these things we practice in the tabletop exercises, and we give different kinds of scenarios. So and as you also again mentioned, and I also mentioned, cybersecurity as a shared responsibility. Once people understand this, then it becomes a very easy, or you can, I'll not say a cakewalk, but it becomes very easy at the highest level, to work in the right direction.
Very important points there, sir, which I am getting, Colonel. Right. So, how do we look at see forensics, as you rightly said, is a laborious process, right?
Yes.
And it is always needed that you'll have to have the teams come in, and the teams have to work at times late and stuff like that, right? How do we keep those kind of teams motivated and aligned when dealing with constantly evolving constantly evolving cyber threats and forensic requirements that come on for every project that comes into your table?
Motivating the team is as motivated as the leader, let me tell you that. So if you go with a smiling face and the start of the day, they'll be smiling the whole day. So that is on the lighter side, but it is very important. And the team
Okay.
always looks at the leader, how he behaves, what is he doing, what is his knowledge. If okay, I'll put it in a a bit harsh way. If you accept crap, you will get
Yeah.
crap. So if you let's go the other way around. If they know he means business, they will give you they'll do what you require. They understand your mind, they know how you perform. See, for example, if you ask someone, your team member, to make a presentation tomorrow, I have to give to the marketing team. So he'll give four slide,
Mm.
and he'll make it from some AI, or he'll make it from some this, or he'll just make it and give it. But if he knows that "Ki, I
Yeah.
mean business," he'll be sure he knows my mind. He has listened to me when I speak in various forums. He knows that I would like to speak on these pointers. He will make it. Similarly, the team while working in forensics, they know okay, I'll not go back to my team lead unless until I've done A, B, C, D, E. Because he knows, if he says I'm not able to recover data, I'll ask him, did you use this? Did you use this method? Did you do
Mm.
this? So instead of me asking him, he'll firstly only prepare and come. So he knows that what I requirement. So it's always a gelling of a team, knowing each other thoroughly. Even I know which person is going to hoodwink me and which person is not going to hoodwink me. So if it's a very top priority job, I'll prefer giving to the person. Not that everyone is same, but I would be a bit cautious. And similarly, the other way around, he also 10 times look at that content which is going to give back to me. So that is very important at the team gelling, and it's a leader. The leader makes the team comfortable in every space, in the technical space, in the social space. You should know your team. Like in army, I'll give a simple example. I had 700 men under me as a second in command, right? So in that case, we knew every person, because everyone was aloof from the family. We knew what was his family name, what they did, how many children, which class, what is his family background, whether he's a farmer, whether he's a shopkeeper. So that was required out of us, because he should also know that my leader knows about me. So that's where you can solve problems. So I just give you an example. Sorry for diverting back to my previous profession, but
No,
this is
no
how
problem.
teams should work, I feel.
Now, how do we ensure digital forensic operations stay adaptable and agile, particularly when new technology threats emerge?
Adaptable and agile is, firstly, you have to be well read. You have to know the technology
Hmm.
in space. You have to be ahead of time. You have to be collaborative with law enforcement agencies, with your teams, with your IT teams. And you have to be flexible also in the case, because as I said, especially in the corporate, is more about reputational loss, is more about business, it's more
Hmm.
about financial losses. So how you can help, or your vision should be the company's vision. I mean, the company's vision should be your vision. Yeah, so that is how you should go. So as a forensics, as every one of us know, is a technical field, and only you read about success stories in forensics. Even in businesses, if some business was able to do a case, I mean, solve a case, they tell, okay, this incident happened and we came with this. Then many times we are not able to come out with that. So
Hmm.
leadership in digital forensic is about technical expertise, business alignment, and human empathy. That's what I'll, if you ask me to, in a very short thing, I would like to answer this question.
Agreed on that point. I think what you're saying is more to be looked at as a pointer, where we say it is essential piece of information that everybody should carry today. Now, looking at being agile and quickly adopting for a particular technology which can solve a problem which takes 3 hours, can solve it in 1 hour, then that tool is required for us to save efforts that are going. Very rightly put across on that. Coming to the last pointer that I have for today's discussion is, what advice would you give to aspiring leaders in digital forensic, and how do you build trust within their teams, stakeholders during some of the crucial moments, and how do should they adopt it for themselves?
So, if someone you have already called him a leader, actually he has all the qualities, so he's there in that particular chair, right? So, giving advice to leaders instead of saying, "Ki, discussion with the leader," because I not be right for me to give advice to a leader. But anyway, I understood this
Yeah.
question, and what I would say to that, we as leaders, I'll put it that way, we as leaders, what we should have is, we should, means, transparency is the highest thing.
Mhm.
Communication, transparency, provide clear, timely directions to your team, to your management, to your stakeholders, so that even if they should be able to have the full picture in front of them. Ethics is topmost in forensic, is very topmost, because you're dealing with PII, you're dealing with sensitive cases, you're dealing with material. So I would put ethics more above than anything else, ethics, integrity as such. So we as leaders have to
Hmm.
inculcate this particular qualities in us first, and then we should be able to put it in our teams also. Next thing, which I always feel, that we as leaders should be calm under. I'm always using we as leaders, because as I said, I would not advise the leaders, because they are already leaders in first place. So
No, yeah,
yeah,
your point is
so we
valid.
have to be calm under pressure. Composure sets the tone. A confident leader is always a good leader. It will give you to solutions. Even if you have doubt in your mind, your team will prove you wrong and get you the solutions. Because if you're confident, they know that he is confident. That means there's a solution there. So they'll work an extra mile to get to that solution. Empowering the
Yeah.
team is again very important. Like as I say, delegation of task. A leader should not give everything with him. You will never be able to solve a problem. You have to delegate
True.
tasks. Trust deficit should not be there. Delegation is the key. One thing in forensics I always believe is proactiveness and preparedness. See, even after around 27, approximately 30 years also, I still read about what is happening in the forensic space. And proactiveness is that if something happens, I go and ask my company to see whether this has happened to you or not. Let's check back. Okay, then
Hmm.
you have to,
Hmm.
one more thing, we have to engage stakeholders. Now in my case, stakeholders, who are the stakeholders? My employees, of course, the management is my stakeholder. But if you see, my reports will go to the court, the court becomes my stakeholder. I have to report, if an incident happened, you have to report to the government, the government becomes my stakeholder. So my engaging stakeholders, not only in the time of crisis, but not in the time, in the normal times, is also very critical. Own mistakes, I make a lot of mistakes, and of course there's no harm in taking a step back and going in when I said we interact with in the morning teams, if I give my last advice, because from others advice I make my advice and give it, because I feel ki, people have better advices at sometimes. It's not that ki you are not clear, but you get more. You can say their advice behave like catalyst to us. And confidentiality in my, this is where CIA trade we call confidentiality, integrity, availability, CIA. That's very important for us.
Yeah.
Forensics is a field to be in. If you see globally, now in today's in this year, I mean this present scenario, India does business of 10 billion. Globally, it is 5x. And let me tell you, the next 10 years is for forensics, because the CAGR growth in this field is going to be in double digits, 15-16%, highest in the world, not even in the Europe or in America it will be there. So this is a field to be in. But I would, a word of caution also, it takes a lot of time. You should have patience. You should embrace technology. Cutting edge technology should be at your disposal, and you should contribute. Last thing I would like to say, because I made a lot of make in India products, so you should give prominence to indigenous make in India products. It would be means I would not complete this session without saying this statement that please support make in India products, use make in India products, and you are they are really means at par to the global products which are there, but that doesn't mean you should not use other products. Yeah.
Great, sir. Thank you for that. And with this, I think we are at the fag end of the session where we would like to summarize. I would like to summarize on what we discussed on the forensic thing that we did today. A small summary that we spoke about innovative leadership on digital forensics and what is the current world is facing, the complex threats that we are seeing, how human centric approach while managing high stake situations is what we spoke about. We spoke about incident response and managing response to shape leadership approach. We spoke about cutting edge technology and its adoption to forensics and how agile it can be looked at when we talk about forensics. And finally we spoke about what is the takeaways in terms of leaders. We definitely, as Colonel rightly said, we don't want to give an advice to leaders because they are in that field and they are knowing much more things that we spoke about. What we are trying to tell is to see that there is certain information that is required for you to be in this field, and it is a time consuming and a very lucrative career, I would say, because most of them don't come into forensic and cybersecurity because it is more of investigation and preparing reports and stuff like that, which most of them hate. What is your take on that, Colonel? Did I say that right, Colonel?
Yes, in fact, you are a dictionary for in the cybersecurity domain, because all the sessions you take and whatever you summarize is you summarize not only of the present, talk which is on, but also of the previous learnings and try to give them to your audience. So that is the good thing, and actually you have summarized it very aptly. And if we have to be the torch barriers in this cybersecurity field and protect our system, ecosystem, nation, and human as a whole.
Thank you. With this, we are at the closure of the session. We have streamed this podcast to LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Please have a look at. Hope this session has helped you out to learn something about cybersecurity, digital forensics, and stuff like that. And with this, we would like to say that our next episode is going to be in the month of March. We are going to do a complete women leadership month for the month of March, where through and through we have leaders talking on cybersecurity, women leaders in cybersecurity we are talking about, and we are bringing up CSA to be part of us to discuss on this. We are having many of them have heard about CSA as a larger organization which talks about Cloud Security Alliance, which is the Bangalore chapter that we are associated with, and we will have the founders of Bangalore chapter, Pooja and Satyadevi, coming and joining us in some of the sessions, and some of the speakers will come on Tuesdays for technology driven topics, and on Thursdays we have the leadership and management sessions that are going to go on. I would like to bring up this one here to show you what is that we are going to do out. This is what we are going to talk about whole of the month. And with this, I would like to conclude the session. Thank you, sir. Any last minute pointers that you want to add, sir?
What I would like to say is be safe in the cyber world and keep everyone around you safe. That's what I would like to say. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.